everyone. Today I have with me Gunnar Garrett, and Gunnar is a very successful screenwriter. And I saw today that you had gotten very exciting news.
Oh, yeah, the semifinalists for the LA Cinefest?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that?
I guess that would be exciting. Honestly, I don't put a whole lot of thought behind the whole film festival circuit and all the awards with that stuff, only because I feel like it's really subjective. I mean, maybe you send something out to these things, and the reader that you get is into horror films, and you have a family film. They may not look at it or judge it as high as something that they would actually like, or even writing styles differ in that, I think. And the reason, and I do submit to a lot of them. Every time I get a new screenplay finished, I'll go through and have some friends read it, and then I'll cry after they send me the feedback. I'll go through, rewrite it a couple times, and then when I feel like it's pretty close to being done, I'll submit it to a couple film festivals. Usually right around 10, and as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really matter which 10. I know there are some major ones that pay really well and things like that, but really for me, what I'm trying to get out of that is if I can get like a finalist, or because to win, it's I'm sure ridiculously difficult because there's a lot of good work out there. But if I can finish as a finalist, or even quarterfinals, semifinals, somewhere in there, at least I know my screenplays aren't garbage.
Yeah, and I've looked into those because I did write a screenplay back a couple of years ago, but what maybe this isn't true, I don't know, but the ones that I looked into are expensive to enter.
There's so many now. There are so many.
Oh, really?
You go on Film Freeway, Without a Box, all these places, and there are tons of them out there. They range anywhere from $10 to $75 to enter.
Oh, see, okay. So some of the ones I was looking into was like 100 to 150, and I was like,
How long ago was that?
About 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's funny. I've only been writing for about 2 years.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. It was, and maybe those are like that, like you said, like maybe those are major ones that I saw that everybody. But okay. So is this the first time you ever became a finalist?
No.
Well, that's good.
No. Actually, every screenplay that I've written, I've become a finalist in at least like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
I won in 2015. I won the Metropolitan Film Festival of New York for Best Script. So I would suppose I'm going the right direction.
You've only been doing it for 2 years, and I think you're okay. So let's back it up 2 years. What made you decide you wanted to become a screenwriter?
Well, I have a daughter who's 16 who's an actress, and she's very talented. Definitely very talented. And in fact, she's recently been nominated for Best Supporting Actress in one of her short films.
Nice.
And we're going through this process, with the student films and building a resume for her, things like that. And she's recently gone on to features and tested at CBS. Actually, me and her have done some national commercials together.
Oh, nice.
And actually, we went down to LA yesterday and auditioned for a commercial together.
Awesome.
But I figure, I'm reading all these scripts with her and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, there's a gentleman, and forgive me, I can't remember his name. He wrote the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great movie.
And what I heard was that he wrote that because he knew that with his look, he was never going to get a leading role. So he said, I'll just write one for myself.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'll just do that for her.
Nice.
So that's what I did. I mean, I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it that, okay, this can actually happen. I figure, well, one person can do what another person can do, so give it a shot. And I didn't just wing it. I did do a lot of research and a lot of books, and I continue to read a lot of books and watch a lot of videos, and anything that I can find that, I think may help me, whether it does or not, it may spark ideas. So I just kind of went about it that way.
Nice.
It was pretty good. I found I'm a pretty good storyteller, and I've had to learn how to write.
So did you go out and buy the software, like Movie Draft?
I didn't buy that right away. I actually got Celtics because it's free. They have a free download.
Right. It is.
And then once I actually realized, okay, you know what, I really enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. And once I realized, okay, you know what, I might actually be able to do this, that's when I ended up getting final draft. Because from what and this is going through a learning process of,
right.
What is standard and things like that. So.
Right. And it's to me, it's amazing that you've only been doing it for 2 years, because you can hear about people doing it for 10, because a lot of people are like, oh, it takes a year to write a script, and it did not take me that long. But I used Save the Cat. I read that. Right. And
my friend actually bought me that, and that was the first. I take that back. That was the second book that I read, and I somewhat used that. Their little outline process. And I don't really stick to it. I'll go through and I'll write it out, my little outline, or beat sheet, if you will. I think is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never stick to it. Because the story ends up taking its own path as you go through. In fact,
Yes, show me. I was just going to say, do you do the index cards? I did not.
Yes,
I did
how
not.
they do it.
I have not done that.
And I did this before I did that. And, I'll do the Act 1, 2, and 3. But I can only do one at a time. I can only do Act 1, and then I'll have to redo Act 2, because I find sometimes, yes, I have an idea of where I want to go with my story, but the more you write, the more you start to learn your characters, and they end up taking their own path.
Mm-hmm.
You can know where they want to go, but you end up having to guide them. You can't just force them down a path, otherwise it doesn't seem natural, at least for me. So.
Right. I found that first of all, it's funny that the way you say you started, because I had a friend whose daughter was 6 and was an actress. She was getting bit parts and things, and her mom and I, we would look at these scripts, and I'm like, we could write this. This isn't that hard,
It looks simple, right?
So we did, and that's what we did, but we never did anything with it. But I found that what I did was, like, I got 2/3 of the way, and I was like, this story is too, like, somebody's got to die. Something drastic has to happen here, and then you read Save the Cat, and you're like, okay, somebody's got, so I went back, and I, like, killed somebody, and then, went forward, but it was, it is, anybody who's a writer, I have to say it's a very fun process, as opposed to writing a novel, which to me, a novel seems so overwhelming. Not that I wouldn't want to do it, it just seems overwhelming. Where sitting down to write the screenplay seems like it's very kind of formulatic, whatever the word I'm looking for. It seems like a formula, and I can think in that way for some reason.
It is, but at least in my opinion, I think that maybe younger writers should be a little bit cautious about thinking that they have to follow this formula.
Right.
Because it may hold them back from who they are as writers. And like with my writing, I wouldn't say I'm very well educated. I don't have a large vocabulary. I'm not very articulate in certain things. But I feel like when I write, it's really lean. I write what needs to be there and not what doesn't. And that's what I've got a lot of good feedback about. It's really easy to get through. I don't find myself struggling to pay attention. You go from where you're at, just move through the scenes. And it's really easy to visualize. At least for me, I think that everyone is going to, when they read it, they're going to picture something different in their head. So you don't need to pinpoint everything in the room and
yes,
pull out the exact scene, because you're going to see it your own way. And this leaves it up to the reader to at least visualize what the way they want it to be seen, and which in my hopes is that a director picks it up and they get to take their own little path with it and stuff like that. So.
Well, and even like a lot of screenwriting books I read would say that Rocky was one of the best screenplays. Okay, but if you read Rocky, so I pulled it up. If you read it, you can't, you've seen the movie, so you know what it is. But like you said, it doesn't really say. There's a lot of room for what they want it to look like.
Interpretation.
Yeah, for interpretation.
Set design up to the set designers.
Yes. There was a lot less said. There's a lot less said, like you said, if that's what they say in your critiquing, is that you say just enough, because they don't want too much, because then they don't want too much set direction. They don't want too much, they don't want too much.
You have to still be able to give your reader that visual image, but without forcing them to think a certain way. I guess.
Yeah.
Again, I'm very articulate.
Right. But you do have some in production, right? You do have one of your screenplays being made.
I've actually had this. I've actually had a couple offers, and then I ended up signing with the manager, and we said, "Hold on." She basically said, "Just hold up, slow down, stop." She's like, "Let's clean these up," and I understand what she's trying to do. I mean, money's always nice. However, what we decided to do is put things on hold for a moment, and she wants to basically build a career for me as opposed to just getting a sale. Because it's easy to just put your name on something, throw it out, and then it's gone.
Right.
We have several of them that she wants to package together, and that's the other thing. And she's like, "Yeah, I could get you a check tomorrow. That's fine, but it'd be smart of us to go through, make sure everything is clean, really tight." And as far as I'm concerned, every screenplay ever can always use more work. And I'm sure everyone who's ever written something, when they go back through it, they'll change something.
Right.
You're like, write that out. That doesn't sound good. And they go through and adjust it, whether it was good or not.
Right.
And so basically she wants to go through it. And she said, I want to get you as much money as I can. And I don't want to just get a sale and move on. We need to build a career for you. And, so at some point, hopefully you have an office at a studio. You're sitting down and writing in an office as opposed to your kitchen.
Right.
Which is where,
right. Okay, so you win. Okay, so let me just take it, through kind of chronologically. So you write, you submit, you win. Okay, basically you win one of them. And then at what point do you say, okay, I need to go get an agent? Or that even isn't getting an agent like one of the hardest things you can do is finding somebody that.
I understand. And me and my daughter went up to the local high school here. We live in a small town. And we'd end up giving a little speech to some of the drama kids up there about the industry a little bit, because I do have some other friends in the industry. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I told them is, don't use us as an example, because we are not, the way that this works. It is a long, tedious, drawn-out process, and it is definitely work. But I do think that those people who put in the work, and this is what I told them, I was like, the kids that are basically going to ignore me and do it anyway, you are probably going to be the ones that succeed at it. Because you want to do it. It's not, I want to do it for money or fame or whatever. It's just because you enjoy doing it. And that's how my daughter is. It's honestly who she is, I would say. Mm-hmm. She's just one of those kids who loves being on set, but she's very dramatic, and not in the home setting, but on set. You can see it.
Right.
So it's
right. So you went and got it. So you did. So you got an agent.
Right, and that's actually, and the thing is because I had gotten offers, because I was sending my script out to production companies, and I was getting a lot of responses immediately. But at the time, I was also looking for an agent manager at the same time, and that's when I signed with my manager. Literally within a week of getting these offers, it's just like, whoa, stop sending this out. And the other part of that is, I do understand that we can't be sending this out to everyone in the world and then getting responses and then finding later on, okay, well, we've already seen this, no thanks. Mm-hmm. It needs to get to the right people to make sure that we get the best film made also, as opposed to just getting it sold to somebody. Let's say, it goes out, the script goes out to somebody, goes in production, they bring their writers in to write it. That's also the other thing she wants to avoid, is them bringing in a writer. She wants to be able to push for me to develop the film, as opposed to studio writers. So.
Yes, because I've heard that is like, sometimes they'll just buy you out. And then,
right. And again, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I don't care, I'll sell a movie.
I don't care, give me the track, I'll just want that,
Right. But in the long run, it is the smarter move.
Yeah.
And you got to have faith in your manager and your agent, because you guys are our team. So.
Right. And so then you get this, so now you're just like kind of in the waiting process of, right?
Yeah, so we've been talking the last 2 weeks. We're going through, because she's also an editor, so she's basically going through cleaning up everything, and I should be getting, I think, 4 of them back here in the next couple days that I'll go through after she, makes her remarks, clean them up, and then we'll go out and start pitching. So.
Nice. Marcus Redman, who I interviewed, I don't know if you know who he is, but he was.
Thanks. I'm still new. I'm still learning everybody.
I know. He played one of the kids on Doogie Howser. That's how I knew him. But he's now a screenwriter. But he was on Doogie Howser, and that might be before your time, but it wasn't before.
No, actually, I remember watching that as a kid. I'm 30.
Oh, okay. So anyway, he was telling me that one time he wrote this screenplay. It's a funny story, and the guy, whoever he gave it to, came out and said you need to make these corrections on it. So he, sat there, made the corrections, gave it back, and the guy's like, not good enough. I want you to really, take it back and do more corrections. So he was talking to one of his buddies who was a screenwriter, and he said, the problem is that you made him too fast. So just go home, sit on it for a week, resubmit it. It'll be fine. And that's what he did. And the guy was like, perfect. And he didn't change anything, I
found now that this is how I have to do this. I will write a screenplay, and when I type fade out, I'll just save it, and I'll continue on with another one. I'll start
just
a brand new one.
Immediately, right.
Because I've found otherwise I can't see past what I've done. But when it sits and I come back to it, even like with my first couple ones, even the one that I ended up winning that film festival with, I look back and I'm like, wow, this is awful. At least in my head, I'm like, why did I write these things? I'm like, this could be so much better. But it gives you time to look at it from a different perspective. And that's the other thing, too. At least for me, I love getting feedback, even though it's the worst feeling in the world. Because I know it's going to be bad. It's almost always awful. No one wants to, praise you for the good parts. They just want to tear you down for all your mistakes.
Right, and they'll tell you don't get attached, but how do you not get attached? Like, it was in your head, like, how do you not,
Well, and it's hard, too. And again, this is where I say it's subjective as far as even with the film festivals, because I'll get conflicting information from different readers. That one person loves that part, the other one's like, why do you even have that in there? It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like,
oh, my God.
Killing me. But so I'll usually send it out to quite a few, and if a lot of times the bad stuff I already knew was there, I just couldn't pinpoint it. I'll know there's something not right about a specific scene, and then when it comes back, I'm like, yeah. Anyway, and then it gives me time to be away from it when they're reading it. Okay. I come back and adjust it.
Right. So when you go to the movies, do you find yourself sitting there and just like tearing it apart?
I do. I'll read the movie. I'll read it as I watch it.
As fast as they can. Well, sometimes you get the screenplay, right away. Sometimes you don't. If I can get a screenplay for a movie, I'll read the screenplay and then I go see the movie.
I've very rarely done. I've only read a couple of screenplays from other things, and I don't know. I feel like maybe I should, but then at some point, maybe that may influence the way that I write and.
Right.
And I'm not going to complain. I don't know. I saw this joke that said something about how many screenwriters does it take to change a light bulb. The answer was, I'm not changing anything.
Yeah.
But I like the way that I write, but it's hard because I for the most part, everyone's like, I like it. It's clean. You get through it. And then, I got one response that was like, it's too plain. And I'm like... I'll get like 20 great responses on one, and then I'll get that one. It all takes that one, and then I question it. But if I get a bunch of concerns about the same thing, it obviously needs to be changed. But I try to stay not too attached.
Right.
And to be honest, I'm excited to push them away at some point, so I don't ever have to touch it again.
Right. You're like, I'm done. I just
yes, done. I'm
just done. It's
I have heard of a friend of mine, her ex-husband, from what I understand, and I won't say names, had gotten a major offer from a major studio, and turned it down because he was not going to be in creative control. This person, from what I understand, has not sold that screenplay now, and nobody else will look at it. So I'm definitely not attached like that. I mean, I understand it is your art, it's your work. You spend a lot of time doing this, but in a way, it's for everyone else too.
Right.
Let the other people in the industry, finish and do their part. You've already done your part. Let it go. Move on.
Right. I went to recently. I took my grandkids to see Moana, and if Disney isn't you know, like the way they do their movies, if that isn't a formula, I don't know what is, because I could almost predict. And, you know, and so in my head, you know, I'm watching the movie and I'm going, okay, and then that's going to, okay, yes, that, and then they're building up to this, and then they're going to do this, and now we're at the pinnacle of everything falling apart for this poor little girl. And then, but at one point, you know, so I'm really engrossed in watching this, and my 3-year-old grandson turns to me and he goes, "This is so boring." And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm trying, you know, like.
My kids love that movie. It probably helps. We literally just got back from Maui. When that came out.
Well, he's 3, but and they're writing it for a little bit older, you know. But it was just kind of cute because I was so, you know, right there with it. And he's like, "Oh, this is boring." I'm like, "Oh no!" I wanted to be like, "But wait, you know, this is what's going on. You got to watch this."
You know, on that side of it too. That is one of my favorite things, and I can tell when there's a really, really good movie now. If I forget I'm watching a movie, that's my favorite thing to do is forget I'm watching a movie and just completely just be lost into what's going on. And because of the writing and everything else now, it's a little bit harder to do. But I definitely, when that happens, I'm like, wow, that was really good.
Did you see Fences?
No.
Oh my God. You have to see Fences.
I will admit, I'm a very, very busy person outside of writing too. For single dad, I have 4 daughters living in my house.
Wow.
So it's
what are the age?
17, 16, 10, and 7.
I have 6 children, but only 2 of them were girls, so I can only imagine.
It's my painted fingernails.
Good for you, having 4 girls. That is definitely an accomplishment. But yeah, I mean, my youngest is now going to be 14, and so I do have more time than I did when I was raising the kids. As a matter of fact, now when I see people be like, "Did you see this movie?" I was like, "What year was that? Oh, was it in the 90s?" No, definitely did not see it. But I did see Fences, and if he doesn't get an Oscar if Denzel does not get an Oscar, I mean, I did get so caught up in him that when I left, I was like, "Oh, I forgot to look for," you know, and I did forget to look for things. So, you know, that is a testament to a good movie if it hooks me in, you know. So, you know, but let's see. So now, what do you think about TV writing as opposed to movie writing?
A lot more dialogue, for sure. It's definitely a lot more dialogue, for sure.
Oh, right. I mean, do you think, is that something that interests you, or do you think it's...
It is. And one of the things that kind of push it, one of my favorite TV shows is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I haven't seen that.
It's kind of a darker comedy, if you will, and I say darker as in the characters basically have bad attitudes. So I'll say they just really don't care about anything. Whatever pops in their head, they're going to say. And I have a friend who works for the show. My daughter and I went. We were out there.
Who's in that? Who stars in that? Somebody stars in that.
Charlie Day, Danny DeVito. Rob is the creator of the show, and his wife Caitlin is on the show with him. And Rob's an awesome guy, super nice. He actually FaceTimed my daughter on lunch because I have another daughter here who absolutely loves the show.
Awesome.
It was an experience, and one of the cool things to see, because the daughter that's into acting, she came along also. It was cool for her on the side of the acting because she said, I hear all the time, when you go on set and you go to these auditions, you have to still be yourself. And she's like, that's BS. You have to be somebody else. That's the whole point of acting. She's like, until I was on set, I could see it. She's like, they were really themselves as the characters, and she was actually, able to see it from professionals on that side of it. And the guys were hilarious. It was the first scene that they did when I was standing there. I really had to hold in the laughter because I almost lost it. I was going to ruin their scene, but it was amazing. It's amazing how much of that they improv. I know it's what the script looked like and everything else, but and then we were mic'd up so we could hear what they were saying. And as they start talking and going through their stuff, I could hear them talking back behind this curtain before they came out for the scene. They started rambling off. I don't want to give away what's going on. The season just started. It aired last night, their new one, and I can't. put their stuff out on blast like that. But
right. No, I need to look that up because I love Danny DeVito, so I have to look that up. But I've heard of it, and I just gets lost in there's so many TV shows. But the one professor that I talked to, he was a professor. He is a professor at NYU, and he teaches screenwriting. And I asked him if it's ever hard to teach to a room full of students who think, well, I'm going to write a screenplay and then I'm going to be successful. And then, and he said that what he tells them is that there's just so much TV right now. And each TV show has a full set of writers. And so, he said he doesn't let them just think about movie writing. He also says because of, Netflix and Amazon and, there's just so many. He said there's over 400 TV shows right now being shot. So, I just think that because, okay, he was saying you take a studio one of the bigger studios and they make, what was that one recent with Benjamin? I'm trying to think what superhero was that? Cumberbatch. Benjamin, my son drags me to all these but anyway, so they stick $100 million into this Marvel, and then they only have $50 million left to make everything else, and he said it's this new thing because of the digital and all the, everything that goes into making one of those movies. And he said it's the smaller films kind of get lost. There aren't that many smaller films being made unless you go, and then you could go indie, which also is another, Yeah,
it's even on that side with the features. It's a weird thing because the first two films that I wrote, I wrote them also so that they could be shot inexpensive. And I don't know that that was a good thing or a bad thing in the sense that some studios aren't even willing to look at it sometimes because of the budget. They assume if it's a lower budget, it's not, going to be able to make that, which isn't true because I do have a producer friend who's recently looked at a couple of them who is recently working with another producer who's produced an Oscar-winning film, and they set up a fund to produce these lower-budget films because he's more interested in making a good film and seeing that return on his investment as opposed to, well, if you don't spend $100 million, you're not going to be able to draw an audience, and that's just not true.
Right.
But then, I noticed on the indie side, too, you got to be very careful with. My daughter did do one that, because it was on the indie side, there's a lot of it's done, but we haven't seen it, kind of thing.
Just kind of sits there.
Right, because the funding of post-production and stuff like that.
Right.
That's where sometimes people get super attached to these, working on it for years and years and years, and then when it's finally done, they want to make sure everything's perfect. And you do want to send out a good film, but you can't, beat it to death and then it never goes anywhere.
Exactly. That is, that's the risk for the indie films. But, Doctor Strange, that was the name of the film. So, it's this huge. Let me tell you, that movie though, I walked out of it, I felt like I was on a roller coaster ride. It was so virtual. I was like, wow, I couldn't even think about what they were saying because I saw it in 3D and IMAX, and it's loud and it's, it's and all the, you feel like you're right there. I felt like I was in the movie. I couldn't distance myself from the movie. But anyway, so yeah, I just thought that was interesting, about the TV because there are so many, and with Netflix, people want to just download a series for a weekend and binge watch a TV show. I mean, that's, that's the...
And that's I've actually seen that a lot lately with the Netflix and especially Amazon now, coming through.
Yeah.
And that's actually presented a lot of opportunities too, even for these younger actors that weren't there because now they have these internet streams,
right?
Channels. So.
Yeah, especially for actors and actresses.
Even with YouTube, I think that's going to head that direction also.
Yes.
So,
yeah, because you can make a short.
Yeah.
You can make a short and put it on YouTube and get people to watch it that way. So there's lots of different roads to go, but I'm so very happy for you that you at least won that one and the next one, and it'll be interesting to see what happens,
I actually wrote the most recent one, the one that I just finished as semi-finalist, and hopefully, I mean, I always want to win.
Right.
So hopefully that moves forward. That was the first one that my first fantasy film, and that one I wrote regardless of the budget. I'm just going to write it how I think it would, look good. And that was actually one of the responses I got from a reader at UTA. He read it and he said, absolutely love it. And I'll be honest, that was probably the best feedback I've ever gotten. The gentleman, little bit got teary-eyed and stuff like that when I was reading it, because it was really good. But his real concern, he goes, the last act, he's like, I'll tell you right now, the only reason I wouldn't just send this out right now is cost. It's like with the film industry where it's at right now, it's like, I'll tell you right now, that you can change that last scene and make some adjustments to lower the cost with the CGI and everything else. He's like, there's no question of this.
Oh, that's very cool.
It's like, but yeah, that last scene is just out of control. So
very cool. So, do you have a website or anything that anybody can go on to?
I do. You can go to bugafilms.com, and then my daughter's website is madisonmay.net.
Oh, great! Yeah,
we have a little bit of information on there, and then
I will post that at the bottom of the channel so that people can go look at it. And
you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff too.
Yeah, and LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean it'll go. But are you on Facebook?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was like,
Buga Films is on there also because I reached my limit for Facebook.
Oh, nice. That's pretty awesome too. So we'll put all your.
It's funny because a lot of that is because me and my daughters did that national commercial. We did a Zillow commercial, where I had my fingernails painted, fairy wings, and all this stuff. So that kind of.
It's show business.
Responses from that.
Right, you're in show business, so you get to do all that stuff.
It's funny because I don't really consider myself an actor by any means, but I get booked a lot for that stuff. And I've been booked at my daughter's auditions where she's auditioning and I'm not. I'm just there, and they're like, "Hey, so while you're here, you want?" I'm like, "Well, might as well." And I booked that way, so I mean, I'm not going to turn it down by any means.
Isn't that's how Billy Ray Cyrus got on Hannah Montana?
Yes, because my daughter is with Osbrink, and one of the agents there was one of the casting directors, and she told us that story while we were there.
I remember because my daughters were so into Hannah Montana, but I remember him being interviewed one time, and they asked him how, and he was like, because I was just standing there, and they're like, why don't you be her dad? Oh, I am her dad. That should be easy. And that's kind of how it is for you. Oh, why don't you be her dad?
Actually got booked before, and they at her audition to play the father, and they booked somebody else to play my daughter. So I was like, well, I guess I'll have to explain that one to my daughter later. Actually, I was kind of how I am about it. I was like, look and see. Now you know where you get it from. You're welcome.
Well, you know what? I think that's what's so exciting about this industry is that you just don't know. You can't plan it out. You really can't. You just don't know,
The reality of it is I mean, I'm 2 years in, and friends have been doing this forever, and without managers, agents, and these things. And in a way, I guess I don't know if I feel bad that they haven't reached this point. But then I wonder, okay, maybe I don't know, maybe they're not pushing enough, towards that goal. Maybe they're not trying to learn enough. Because I do find a lot of writers. They do what they do, and they don't continue to grow. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still am reading like beginning writers' books because everyone has their own, method of doing everything, and you kind of find what works for you. And once you do, keep searching because there may be something you pick up here or there where you're like, oh, you know what? I never thought of that. Give that a try, and next thing you know, it pops up in your writing, and that was the difference that needed to be made.
Right. Right, I do think that it's always, and Shonda Rhimes, I heard her say recently, if you want to do anything else besides this, do the other thing, Yeah,
and I'm at a point in my life where, I mean, this is what I'm going to do regardless of if I'm successful at it or not. Right. I just enjoy doing it. Right. And it took me a lifetime to find something that I really enjoyed. Right. I mean, I was in the military for 12 years. I've done about everything there is to do. Just when it happened, And I'm like, well, I really enjoy getting into these characters. And, I mean, you really get lost when you're writing. You become your characters, I will sit here and make stupid faces as if I was the character. I catch myself doing it. I'm afraid my kids are going to walk in and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it's kind of like you can't look back and say, well, why didn't I think of this 5 years ago? Because I find myself even doing that with what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, why didn't I realize that that's what I wanted to do? But you can't, because you had to get to that point. You know, you had to find it, you know?
And the manager, she pointed out, she's like, you know, had you not been who you are, regardless of your writing, I may not have picked you up just because you have lived this full life. And she actually had me, you know, send her some interesting facts. She made me fill out a thing like 50 different facts about me. Because she wanted to see who I was as a person. And, you know, I'm very diverse. I lived a crazy life already. She's like, you know, a young writer coming out of college, he may not have life experiences to draw from.
Right.
You know, the fact that you've lived through so many different, you know, scenarios in your life, you can see things from different angles, and it makes for a better writer. So,
yes.
Not to say that, you know, a younger person could come in and still do these things, but they just don't have as much to draw from.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm so happy for you, and I'm really happy that I got to talk to you.
Good luck with your channel.
Thank you. And, you know, we'll be in touch and see what's going on with you. You know, I can't wait to see what happens.
Kids are going to watch this and make fun of me later.
There, and they can do that too. So great. Well, you have a good night, and thank you so much. Okay.
All right.
Bye.